In a world where some call it football, football, or soccer, they dare to call it foosball. One thinks New York is blue, the other thinks New York is red. Soccer in America from a German perspective. Let them put some sauerkraut on your hot dog and join them for the Schnitzel Boys USA Hour.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
It's USA Hour.
like
However,
to
tonight
hear
we're
that.
going to give a little love up north. Maybe the Canada Hour, right?
It's the Canada Hour? Maybe. Could be the Canada
partly.
Hour.
Maybe the Canada 5 minutes.
The Canada 5 to 10. Perhaps
5 to 10.
Vancouver. Vancouver, 4 games, 4 wins. And still
4 games,
in
4 wins.
Still in the Champions Cup too.
They went to Mexico and they handedly beat Monterrey 2-2. got through.
The old away
Monterrey,
goal.
which
The away
Monterrey,
goal
which-
rule is still very popular in Vancouver.
Yeah, thank God. Monterrey, which features Sergio Ramos, which I didn't know. Real Madrid bruiser.
Really?
He's now the team cap. Yeah, every three seconds was just looking at what Sergio Ramos was doing.
Oh.
I guess he's the Messi of Mexico. I was just Sergio Ramos this, Sergio Ramos that. I'm like, well, I guess he's in Mexico. But Sergio Ramos, who famously broke Mo Salah's arm and it was just a bruiser for Real Madrid those many years.
No, that's PK, right? No, I was going to say.
It's
Broke
funny you bring
Salah's-
that up. It's funny you bring that up.
Broke Salah's
Ah.
arm and Shakira's heart, but no, that was PK.
No, sure, PK. It's funny you brought that art up because it's related. Shakira is part of the story.
Oh, okay.
So Vancouver went to Monterrey. They tied 2-2, although it was a 2-1 win. There was some soft joke penalty, typical CONCACAF refereeing, to give Monterrey their 2-2. So unfortunately, it was on a win, but 3-3 on away goals. It was 1-1 in Vancouver, 2-2 in Mexico. Now, Monterrey were not playing in their beautiful stadium. Monterrey is the best stadium in North America. Do you know this, Bjorn? The one with the mountains in the background and beautiful modern thing built 2 years ago.
Right.
Anyway, they weren't there. They weren't there that night. Monterrey was playing in Santos Laguna's stadium, and Santos Laguna's next door, I guess. Because
Shakira
concert was at the Monterrey Stadium. And literally my first instinct, just like yours, was like, because I'm like, it took me a second to be like, wait a minute, didn't Sergio Ramos used to date Shakira? Shakira was maybe doing this on purpose. Like, what a great way to F you, your ex-boyfriend, kick him out of his stadium for
like Serena Williams showing up in the halftime show. And right. That's funny. Yeah.
But like you said, I'm like, no, it was Gerard Piqué. But it could have been. God, would that have been a great story if it was
different guy. Yeah.
If it was Gerard Piqué there. Gerard Piqué, the Sergio Ramos of Barcelona, right? Everything Real Madrid does. Real Madrid is the Sega to Barcelona's Nintendo. Like Luka Modric is the Real Madrid version of Lionel Messi. Right? Wouldn't you say that? Ish, give or take?
Ish.
She's more defensive, but still.
Yeah, Modric.
But
yeah.
But anywho. But Vancouver did it, and we talked about last week being surprised. Their surprises continue. They're a good team. They played really good side. Did you see the highlights? They had a great equalizer, just a bomber from out of the box. And I've been watching the Champions Cup for years. I love the Champions Cup. It always starts around February before the MLS season starts. I have great memories of Montreal Impact back when they were a USL club, pre-MLS. The Montreal Impact playing, I believe, Cruz Azul or one of the Mexican clubs.
I remember this,
at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal in front of 65,000 people. And I was like, this is soccer. So the Champions Cup really is a cool tournament. I like it a lot. It is what the League's Cup wish they were. And here we go. We got Vancouver going down to Mexico and doing it. And there were years when MLS clubs never, ever even got a point in Mexico, ever. Like, it was getting sad after a while.
Yeah.
Now
they would play the B team against MLS. The Mexican clubs would play their bench players.
And they would win 100% of the time. It was like there were games. I think there was a game when Real Salt Lake was about to win one finally, and then in the 90th minute, the Mexican club got an equalizer and a winner in stoppage time, and it was like, nope, still a perfect record for Mexican clubs. And I'm just like, what is going on here? I mean, what the heck is going on here? Anyway, those days are over, MLS
No,
clubs can
it's
go to Mexico
competitive.
and win.
It is
Yeah,
competitive. The Crew did well last year.
right?
No, it's all
LAFC did a year before that.
it can all
Yeah,
happen.
no. Seattle finally won one. But anyway, Vancouver went to Mexico, knocked out Monterrey, did it. Good for them. Inter Miami had a really fun game in Jamaica to get past Cavalier. That was expected, but still,
And
it's
then
fun to go on
yeah.
the World Tour.
And then you say
Um,
like, oh, the teams that are in the CONCACAF Cup and the Champions League, they always struggle in the league. Not so in the case of Vancouver. 4 games, 4
yep,
wins.
they're on top. They're top. They just won again over the weekend. Who did they play over the weekend? Just double check here. So many
They
soccer games.
so many. No, they played. I just saw the highlights.
Oh yeah, they beat FC Dallas 1-0.
FC Dallas, yeah, exactly.
In Dallas. So good
Yeah,
on them.
not a bad result. You thought that because Philly was the other undefeated team, and they were at home to Nashville, so you were like, okay, maybe I would have bet on them to keep the streak going, but no, they lost 1-3 to Nashville.
Vancouver, last team standing. And I just want to give extra respect to Vancouver because Vancouver has been such a forgettable club over the years.
I mean,
And honestly, now, like, their star of 4, I mean,
last
Brian
year's
White.
Canadian Championship winners. Come on, show some respect.
I apologize. However, the Canadian Championship is 2 games. I think it starts the semis. It's just like Toronto
Okay.
FC won it 3 years in a row, I think.
All right.
And, all they do is win a semi and then win a final.
I'm not going to argue with you. I was just kind of joking.
But anywho, good joke. Vancouver.
I mean, they did actually win. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
but
You know what I did? This is a random memory, Bjorn. Once upon a time, on Bundesliga.com, Torsten Frings was interviewed. And he was a Toronto FC player.
Yeah,
He played for
yeah.
Toronto FC.
Briefly.
And there was an interview of him in German. What's it like playing soccer in Canada or whatever, in America, in North America? And I translated it for the internet. I went online and I translated the whole interview for the internet. Took me much longer than I realized. My mom definitely helped out. Was a real translator. But anyway, pretty much they asked him, what's it like winning a championship? And I was like, what are they talking about? Because Toronto FC didn't even make the playoffs. And I Googled, they won the Canadian Cup, right? The Canadian Open Cup the year prior. And they said, is it like winning the DFB Pokal? And then Torsten Frings just laughed. He's like, nah, we just maybe go drink a beer or something. That's about it.
It's not that big.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
No parade.
But I just love that they talked about, like, you won a title with Toronto FC. It's just like,
and he's like, what? Oh, yeah, I guess.
Trying to think, what title? Oh, yeah, I guess the Canadian Championship thing, But I'm pretty sure that was just 2 games. It didn't make big news over here. But anyway, Vancouver, I'm watching you, man. And also, as has been evidenced by previous broadcasts, Brian White was one of my favorite Red Bull forward products. We got rid of him and kept Tom Barlow. I'm like, what are you doing?
The one that got away.
And I have been proven right because that dude can score, man. He's kind of the kind of guy you're talking about, Bjorn. Brian White's not going to go to Tottenham next year and win a title for them finally. You know what I mean? That's not his level. He's an MLS guy. He's love the one you're with. He thrives in this league. He can do well here. I don't think he can do well anywhere else. But here he can do well. And you got to respect players like that. Vancouver took him and valued him, and he's a key number 9 for them up top. Good for them. There's no reason we didn't keep him. There's no reason we didn't appreciate him.
Yeah, and they have Scotland's Ryan Gauld, who is playing, although he's out currently, and they're still winning. So
yeah, that's the thing. Sorry, I was drinking. Yeah, they don't have any big star DP superstar. It's an 11, man.
They did not get a lot of new players under Vinny Santini. This is just, I don't know, the new coach seems to be a real winner. Jesper Sørensen.
Yeah, it's him last week. He's one of those, just like our friend Bo Henriksen over in Germany. There are countries that do, like, have you noted, like, there are certain countries that become real hip with coaches, like, generationally speaking. once it was just a bunch of Italians. Like in England, it was a bunch of Scotsmen at one point. There's just generations. For a while, it was a bunch of Dutchmen. The Dutch were coached on Storm. Germany had their heyday. I think about, I would say recently Germany, but definitely Argentina. Right, Argentina's got a
Right,
huge coaching
right.
school. I think it's time to officially say that this generation, the Danes, are spitting out some coaches, man. They're going out there. They're crushing it up in the Bundesliga, right? They're doing really good work
Right.
there. They're doing good work. They're doing good work in like Thomas Frank. They're doing good work in England. And then look at this journeyman coach Jasper Sorensen, who they
I
got
mean,
right out of Denmark. Before that, he was the Brøndby coach and the Danish youth coach. I don't think he coached outside. He hasn't played or coached outside of Denmark his entire career. And then he gets hired for Vancouver Whitecaps this year. And they're running, man. They're hitting the ground running. So
yeah.
good for Jasper Sorensen. I will be keeping an eye on you.
The top 4 teams in the West are Vancouver, San Diego, St. Louis, Colorado. You would not have. Nobody could predict that. That's
Now
unpredictable.
Colorado beat San Jose over the weekend. Zach Steffen apparently having himself another.
Yeah,
start
he's
to the
good
season.
now. Yeah, he is now good all of a sudden.
Start the season. I'm trying to think. LAFC, well, LA Galaxy and LAFC probably aren't starting the season the way they wanted to.
LA Galaxy got 1 point against Portland. Portland and the Galaxy both struggling. They played each other, needed a win, got a tie. Both got a tie. Although the Galaxy should have had a late penalty, actually. Or wait, who was it? I forget. It was maybe Portland. And there was a bad foul in stoppage time that was not called. So anyway.
Oh, no, exactly talking about the Portland game where Portland should have got a penalty. That was one of those
it was the Galaxy.
MLS referee moments where the ref just said, no call. It's like, what do you mean no call? It's a very aggressive inbox foul. But
yeah, I mean, I guess it's weird. I guess he
Phil
gave
Neville
he
got in
gave
trouble.
an advantage. He gave the advantage because somebody had an open shot, but it's like you still can call it.
But when the advantage is done, then you call the penalty.
I mean,
isn't that how that works?
Yeah, ideally.
Yeah. LAFC beat Columbus in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which was a little bit surprising. They have a little rivalry going on. LAFC got one over on Columbus this year. However, so they're going to move on in the Champions Cup. One of the MLS representatives. I think there's 3 MLS representatives in the quarters, if not 4. But they were dropped by Austin over the weekend, and they lost pretty heavily to Seattle Sounders FC last weekend, where Jordan Morris became a record goal scorer for the Seattle Sounders.
Yeah.
And
and then got hurt immediately after.
Well, what else is new? That poor boy's been hurt half his career. But yeah, there you go. So hitting the ground running, LAFC and LA Galaxy are not. San Diego FC, though, how'd they do over the weekend? Are they still doing their thing? San Diego FC. And isn't their star forward Danish as well on the Danish train here?
Yes, you're right.
The Danes, slowly but surely, coming around. San Diego had a tie against said Columbus over the weekend at home. So they're still undefeated. Good on San Diego beginning their undefeated season. So, yeah, MLS is MLSing. I guess the big showcase show was at the Sunday night game. MLS doing this new Sunday night soccer thing. Was the Atlanta Inter Miami game.
Inter Miami, and that did not disappoint.
Did not disappoint. Great crowd. Messi on turf. The Atlanta forward, who cost $22 million, got himself almost 2 pretty great header goals at the top of the game.
A lot.
Got one. The second one just offside. And then by the end of the game, the magic of Messi. Don't futz around with the ball around Messi. Messi just pounced on it, took it, and beat Brad Guzan. Brad Guzan, who has a history against Inter Miami.
Yeah, he was very good again. He had a lot of saves.
6 saves. The famous shove. And I'm watching Brad Guzan. I'm like, is it time for Brad Guzan to maybe play for the U.S. men's national team again? I mean, how old is that? Is he 41? How old is this guy now?
72.
He's 72 years old.
He's 72 years old. He will put a wig on and go in goal. Yeah.
No, he's 40. He's legitimately 40.
He's not playing for the U.S. again, I'm going to just say. But he should.
No, I don't think he will, but his performance, like, if you had to get a keeper based on their performance alone.
He's been real good. If you and
Brad's a good shout.
especially if the national team ended up playing Messi, then they should definitely call up Guzan because he has his number. But
He
then
has a
in the end,
number.
they lost. It's annoying. I'm officially annoyed with the whole Inter Miami situation. They get the luck of the draw. They get these late winners. They're like Bayern. They like just have this good fortune. I don't like it. But I mean, on the other hand, the only team that they drop points against is New York City FC,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and we
How did
should have won that game.
how did
Well,
dying to say
first we should talk about your team. Perhaps I watched you play. I watched the Red Bull Orlando matchup, which actually made me feel better about NYCFC's game against Orlando because Orlando was looking good against you for a lot of it.
Orlando are a tough nut to crack. We know this. They're not pushovers.
They look very stout defensively.
Yeah. I got the big news piece was Choupo-Moting finally opened his account.
Yeah, got a penalty.
He got the goal. Now
Another
I love this.
another pretty soft penalty.
Yes, for instance, so that Choupo-Moting did score. The image on the Apple TV was him celebrating his goal and all that. But this was 100% the work of a 35-year-old European Bundesliga veteran. He was
Like,
in the box.
squeezed
He
his
saw
foot.
an opportunity
Yeah.
to put his foot out there to sort of win a foul, sell it to the ref, sold it. He got his penalty. Boom.
And
Pro football work.
And the center back, Robin Jensen, is that his name? Would not shut up about it for the rest of the game. He was so upset.
He was not happy.
He was not happy. But yeah, I guess
Was he a Dane?
call it.
You Dane?
I don't know what is he's got.
I don't think so. I think he's Swedish. Let me double
Scandinavian, Scandinavian
Let me double check.
in some way.
He
has very blonde hair, but it seems dyed. It's not. I don't think it's naturally.
No, he's Swedish. He's Swedish.
All right.
Yeah. Team captain Robin Janssen, Swedish.
Was so mad. But yeah, I guess you can chalk it up to veteran wiliness. I thought I thought you didn't have to call that, but okay. And
the game was a tie, another tie. We had a tie last week in Atlanta, and now we have a tie at home against Orlando. Right? We were the home team, I believe. Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're the home team
at Sports Illustrated Stadium, which is still hard to say for everybody.
But the equalizer was a great goal scored. You know who had a really good game, and this is again not a Dane or a Swede, but a Norwegian named Dennis Genjar. So I don't 100% know how to say his last name. Genjar. We brought him in last year. You know the judgment's still been out on him, but he stepped up and had himself quite a game against Orlando. I thought he was anyway for the New York Rebels. He was man of the match. He got himself. I remember he was around the field. He was playing hard. And I thought he scored a really great equalizer to make it 2-2.
Yeah.
But you're right. Sorry. You talk about it. I think you saw it.
No, but you said you're right. I love hearing that. What am I right about?
They're being good. They're a tough nut to crack.
Oh yeah. I thought it was very even game. They were pretty dangerous on the counter. They could have. They were pushing at the end for the winner. They were not content with the point on the road. And I felt like your team is still looking a little bit for their newish identity. Like they're definitely not. They have a more constructive setup on the ball. Like there's a lot of passing. It's not just like press and destroy. It's not like search and destroy like it used to be. It's very kind of possession oriented almost in a lot of ways, but comes at or at least in this game, it came at a little bit of a cost of defensive intensity. Wasn't quite there in the way that it used to be.
Well, the real story of the New York Rebels is we have an injury crisis. I think I'm trying to figure out. I said 12 last week. That might have been a little bit of an exaggeration.
That's a lot.
Yeah, how many? I'm trying to think how many. We have a lot of people injured. It's like 9 to 10. It's a lot.
Mm.
Lewis Morgan's out. That's a big loss for
Yeah.
us.
Mhm.
And then is Alexander Hawk injured? That's also a huge loss for us defensively. A lot of our key players are injured.
You're missing people.
So we're missing some people. So right now we're just kind of trying to get. It's a good opportunity for you. Thank God it's early in the season. A lot of youngsters are getting Omar Valencia. A lot of our young academy kids are getting some minutes. Dennis Genyar, who's on the bench all last season, like I said, he was the star player. So they're getting minutes, but I can't really chalk up to our identity super hard yet. A lot of our main guys are gone. We have to wait for our main guys to get back in.
Okay.
Last year we played really, really well. We were peppy, but like you said, it wasn't just we were peppy. We did high press, but also we moved the ball and held the ball as well. It was like the best of both worlds. It was really, really nice to see. And yeah, this year we're still trying to figure that out. Like I said, Choupo-Moting's still trying to get in there a little bit. And more importantly, we just need to. I'm just sitting around waiting for our players to come back. I can't. Lewis
Yeah.
Morgan's so invaluable to us. It's a shame he's made of glass. It's a shame. It's like he's a little bit on the fragile side.
Yeah, and I mean, if you play Choupo-Moting and Forsberg up front, that definitely your first line of pressing takes a hit with that.
Right.
with that.
Here's
line.
the list. Here's the list. We are missing Victor Bogash, who's a bench warmer anyway. Ronald Doncourt, who's a rotation guy. Kyle Duncan, who's one of our main defensive wingers.
Yeah.
Cameron Harper's out. He's also one of our main defensive wingers.
Oh yeah, he's good.
Roald Mitchell's out. He's a youngster off the bench. Marcelo Morales, our big Chilean DP left back, is out. Lewis Morgan is out. Mohamed Sofo, who's our new youngster from the academy, he's out. And then Serge Ngoma is out. And Andre Mehmeti's out, who's a youngster. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 on the
Yeah, but like 3 starters, right? Out of that bunch, or 4?
Well, Orlando only had 2 injured. Yeah, Kyle Duncan, Cameron Harper, Marcelo Morales, Lewis Morgan. I would say 4 key players are missing.
All right. Well, that's a lot.
It's a chunk. Yeah, I think it's a chunk. So I'm not ready to, I want these players to come back pretty soon. Orlando City has 2 people out with a thigh and 2 people questionable. I mean, if I'm the New York Red Bulls, I'm going to hire the Orlando City physio. Someone with our physio, because our guys are all injured. Yeah, so that's really, I'm just, as a New York Red Bulls fan, I'm just trying to ride out that storm, the injury storm. Let's get Lewis Morgan back. Marcelo Morales, the big signing in the offseason. We need him in there. So there you go. I'm happy with the tie. I'll take the tie. It's 2 ties in a row. We have a loss, a win, and 2 ties. Like you said, I still up top with Emil Forsberg, who has been playing well. Choupo-Moting got that penalty finally, but I'd love to see if we can't get him more involved a little more dangerous. And if you can throw Lewis Morgan in there, I want to see that. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, he's gonna help for sure.
I want to see the Emil Forsberg, Lewis Morgan, Choupo-Moting attacking trio. I want to see that. And I feel we probably won't see that until later in the summer.
All right.
Okay. NYCFC, baby.
Daniel Young is
another win.
Daniel Young is saying the NYCFC versus New England game reminds me of a trap game in the Bundesliga or Prem, a team trying to park the bus or have a mind block to earn a point against a team trying to get into the top 4. I thought
mid block.
A mid block. A mid block, not a mind block.
That's what he meant. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. A mid block to earn a point against a team trying to get
mind block.
A mind block.
What if that was my coaching thing? I train my players to be psychic soldiers. And they just sit there and they look at you and they give you a mind block. You don't even remember how to play soccer.
No,
Messi's like, what am I supposed to do with this ball?
I think you're right. He means a mid block. Anyway, I felt the same way. I was kind of worried. New England have been terrible. They haven't scored a single goal. They had 1 point.
Caleb Porter's still their guy.
Caleb Porter's still coaching. They got Leo Campana from Inter Miami. He's hurt. They were missing but they still have Carlos Gil. That's still their guy, and a bunch of people around him. And I was worried going in. I was like, I didn't think we played all that well against her. I mean, I thought we were okay for a lot of it in Orlando. And we also are missing some people, I mean, it's not as dramatic, but we had Nico Carvalho got the start at left back because Kevin O'Toole is hurt, and we only have our only backup left back was draft pick number 89, and he played, and then he got hurt, and then Burke Reese had to play left back, and he was totally lost out there. He's a center back. So I was worried about this game, and we fell behind from a Thiago Martins own goal. So New England technically still haven't scored because we scored
all the goals.
We scored for him. A pretty poor, like obviously unfortunate, but like I don't know. I don't think we have one high quality center back on our roster. I think Thiago Martins obviously will always get measured against his DP contract, fairly or unfairly, and he is not worth a DP spot. I think that can be said as a fact. We have Burke Reese. Burke Reese can't get a start. We had Justin Hack play center back again alongside Martins, but he's really more of a midfielder. Tanasiewicz came off the bench. He's kind of a wild man. Burke Reese was totally lost at left back and just is very error prone. So that's going to be a problem. I think we are not going anywhere with this lineup of center backs long term. So but other than that, after we fell behind, we showed a little bit of character. It was a very sloppy game. Our possession was not great. Johnny Shore and Keaton Parks played pretty well. Keaton Parks actually a really good game, and Johnny Shore got the start again. Another solid outing for him, but it was just not fluid. But then we got the equalizer on a counterattack, Hannes Wolf to Juli Fernandez. And then the winner was a Keaton Parks shot saved and a Alonso Martinez not bicycle. It was more like a scissor sideways. I don't know what to call it, but a pretty acrobatic finish. And then that was the win. And New England in the end, pretty harmless. Didn't really have there was not a lot of danger. But Robin Pascal Janssen, our coach, who really I said this last week, I really enjoy his press conferences, because he's very straightforward. Unlike, Nick Cushing was like Mr. Toxic Positivity. He would always tell us how great everything was after every game. And Pascal Janssen, somebody said, actually one of the reporters asked him, like, another great performance at home. What do you think? And Janssen said, no, I'd have to disagree. This was not. He didn't think this was a great performance. He was happy with the win. He was happy to come from behind, and the mentality was good. And he praised certain players, but overall, he said this was not a good performance. Possession just wasn't crisp in a way that we like it to be, and but we survived. So
that's what you want to hear. That's what you want to hear from your coach. Be like, no, we can do better. Because you got to light a fire in the butt of your players.
Well, he's also very, like, he talks tactics. He's just very sort of open and specific about. So it's very refreshing. I really enjoy that. And so yeah, I mean, I think we have 7 points out of 4 games. It's pretty good. I think we're missing some top end talent. We haven't replaced our outgoings, and so that's the transfer watch is still on. But so far so good, I guess. He's getting the youngsters to do a job. We don't have a left back now. If O'Toole and Caballo left hurt, so I don't know who we signed. We had to sign a midfielder from NYCFC 2 on game day just to fill out our bench. So we are also under between some injuries and just lacking players. We don't have a left back either. I mean, yeah,
Kyle Duncan, Cam Harper, and Marcelo Morales are all out. Those are our left backs. And so we just got rid of it, but we play a back 3 with a midfield 4, kind of like more of a wing back situation, I guess. Pretty much you got rid of the left backs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we did also functionally in the last half hour of the game. I mean, Burke Reese tried to play left back for a while. He was like overlapping weirdly, but then he kind of forgot and played. I mean, it was odd. It was a really odd performance by him.
Oh, I forgot to say this in the Germany hour, but Jonathan Tolkien got on the field this weekend
Oh,
and
he's back from injury. All right.
back from injury, getting off the field. Kiel lost, still lost, I think 3-1, but he's off and healthy again. Our old left back, our starter from last year, is back and healthy again. Yeah, very cool. No, I'm in the same boat. It's like, it's nothing to scream about yet. Not perfect, not bad. The MLS, it's not a disaster opening, thankfully.
Yeah. No, I mean
There you go.
we're doing quite well, I feel like, considering. And yeah, really feel good about the coach. And but yeah, we needed some reinforcements. And but that's our front office's way. They do not rush into things. And so yeah, it's not happening quick, but I hope that these relatively good results don't lull anyone into complacency or thinking that this squad is. I mean, Danny Young just says a team trying to get into the top 4. Like, this is not a top 4 squad right now. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think
Trying to get into Europe.
to get into the
top 4. It's
back
MLS, baby. You just need to get in the top 8.
Well, you want
You're not going to shoot so high.
Well, you want the home game. I mean, it would be good. Top 4.
How'd your home game go last year?
Top 4. Well,
how did it go last year?
I don't remember.
I remember.
We played
9/11. Never forget. Never forget.
I don't know.
I shared a link in the chat. I don't know how, on our new system, I don't know how to share stuff. I don't know. Do you know how to do that either? Or we have to maybe, it's a whole complicated thing. But there was a meme with a sharing, if you're so inclined. I guess the podcast listeners can't do this, but I found a fun meme where it's like, it's like 2 news reporters or 2 people, Vancouver undefeated, no one's asking them. And then just a million microphones asking about Messi and friends. Just the good old fashioned, what's it like to be an MLS fan these days. Messi mania.
Right.
But other stories, just no one cares. Even going down to Mexico, Monterrey, that doesn't get a lot of press, I guess. Yeah, so I have a couple of big topics for you.
Okay. We didn't talk. The other thing we didn't talk about in the Germany hour is the ultra, the fan shenanigans in Bochum. That's okay.
So we'll say that for next week, maybe.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Also
yeah. Was it a bunch of fighting? What's going on there?
No, they had there was this happened before against Stuttgart earlier this year. The opposing fans like to put a bunch of banners and flags into their corner. And then there is but then there's an exit. There's an emergency exit that cannot be covered up by flags.
Right.
But then I guess the stadium personnel cannot take off the flags because that like incenses the opposing fans and escalates the situation. The ultras, cannot be upset. And so it then took the game started like 45 minutes late because they had to get these fans to take their banners off, and then they left in a huff basically. And some of the Bochum before the game started, they then left, and some of the Bochum ultras with them in solidarity. And I was like, is everybody just being?
Oh, so these were the home ultras. Wait a minute, was this in Bochum or in Stuttgart?
This was in Bochum. This is Bochum against Frankfurt.
Oh, Frankfurt, sorry.
The Frankfurt fans arrived. The road fans
left in solidarity. Okay.
And the Frankfurt fans put up all of their banners down there. Why is that even? Why can't that be? Why can't there be somebody to be like, hey guys, you can't put these there? Like,
well, also,
barely that's not possible.
How has that not been solved by now? Like,
it's really all just quite. It's quite mysterious. Yeah, how can?
It sounds to me like they're having a good time. They feel righteous, and that's what they're there for.
Yeah, and then it becomes a power. Then it becomes a power game. Then they're like, oh, we don't want to do what you tell us to do, and then the Bochum Ultras
I-
they feel more beholden
But
to their
it's an
fellow
emergency
ultra.
fire exit, right? It's
Right.
basic basic regulations.
It's not
It
like
makes it's for everybody's safety,
it's for
right? That's the rules.
it's not
Right.
negotiable. They're like the game will
Yeah.
not start if this exit is not clear. So
Well, my response to that is doesn't the Bochum Stadium have a place for them to put their flags? I'm sure they do.
they have more that this is what was talked about. There's more room in the Bochum Stadium for opposing fans to put up their stuff than anywhere else. But why can't this be managed before the game? Why isn't there somebody to be
Yeah.
like, hey, put them here and not here? And then why are the Bochum Ultras? Why are they more concerned about their ultra cousins
Right.
than they are about their team? I mean, it was all just so stupid, and in a way
These are the
where
kinds of things that MLS doesn't even have the privilege of. MLS has way more rules than that.
well,
You
yeah,
know, like
right.
you're not
But
allowed to
this
bring
is
anything in
also,
MLS
but
stadium.
this is also the kind of thing that we kind of are envious of, where you're like, oh, the Euro fan culture is so authentic. It's like it's also pretty stupid. It's like it's
Well, but the
their
German
own.
fan culture is second to none. I mean, the English look at the Germans being like, we wish we had that. Because really but as silly as it is, the reality is the fans are in charge. You know, Germans are proud with their unions and their fan groups. So for them to, and Germans love putting their foot down when it comes to idealistic rules.
Yeah.
So if you challenge them so you can't put their flags there, you better believe there's going to be a huff and a puff and a
But
walk
then
and a
it's
march.
like everybody's just helpless. The stadium announcer has to keep asking the Frankfurt, can you please move these flags? Because nobody else
Right.
can do it. There's like 50
It should have
people
been emailed ahead of
watching. There's
time
all
or
kinds of,
something.
oh, this is all common knowledge. They know this ahead of time.
In MLS, they send reps, right? There's like league reps that manage everything.
This is a
right?
whole other. I mean, I've been on road games with NYCFC. We have like personal, you get like these
Right.
people
When I
watching
was
you
at
all the time. Yeah.
when I was at the MLS Cup final with the
Can't
Red
go to the
Bulls,
bathroom without somebody coming.
right? There were all these suits with lanyards. And I'm like, who are these guys? A bunch of lanyard suits, people with lanyards and security managing our whole section.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is this? This is like typically engineered by the league. Or
Yeah, I
whatever.
mean that is also stupid, right? I
Right.
don't think
100%.
I'm not saying that's good.
Germany doesn't have that, right? There's none of that.
Right.
In
It's
Germany.
like the ultras are in charge of everything. If they put their flag up there, you have to like ask them nicely 18 times, and the game has to start 45 minutes late before they're like, all right, fine, okay, we'll take our flags and we'll just leave. This is ridiculous. This is stupid.
Right.
It's like, okay.
I'm on the side of the Germany thing versus I'd rather have the nonsense you said versus the nonsense we have, which is like no flags, no swearing, no this, no flair, all that crap we have in MLS. So as silly as it is, Germany, it's still better. They still win.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I understand what you're saying. It's they got to organize ahead of time, or just put your flags. It's an emergency exit. Right? Don't get me wrong. I get it.
Seems like there could be this could be managed earlier. This could be, yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. It's like the ultras are in charge. Here, the ultras are not in charge. It's all an illusion. We're all playing make believe. The corporates are in charge.
But it's like somebody comes to it's like you throw a party, somebody comes to your house and they put up like a bunch of posters on the wall blocking the exit to your porch, and you can't do anything. You're like, please, can you just please move your we need to go through this door. And then they're like, what? No, that's my poster. Like, can we're going to like, fine, I'll go home.
Too. And then your wife is like, I'm leaving too. I can't believe you won't let him put the thing on the thing.
I know.
Yeah, I know that's ridiculous.
So then everybody, exactly, the entire party that leaves is like, why won't you let him close the door down with this poster? What are you kind of fast?
We had all this other wall space. We had all this other wall space.
And here I am, and I'm having the party by myself. And I'm like, all right. Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Sorry.
I think that chocolate, that is silly, but I do chalk it up to, like, with that being said, it's still a beautiful culture. MLS is dying to have that, but around here, it's all corporately controlled.
Okay.
Well, whatever. We have to get it. That's not the big questions I have for you.
All right.
The big questions I have for you. I have a few.
Okay.
One I don't even want to bring up, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because you inspired me to.
Okay.
You said, or we talked about, the coach has to light a fire under their butts and make them not too comfortable, right? Something like that. Talked about that a minute ago.
Okay. Sure.
Well, there was a guy who left. Forgot who it was. He was an Argentinian U23 Olympic player. Marcelo Bielsa is the Olympic national team, the Argentinian Olympic coach, or the U20s, one of the others. And he told the one guy, "You have to leave MLS." So he went to the Brazilian league.
Mm.
And the player said, "Marcelo Bielsa told me to leave the American League. He said the American League is bad and all the players are lazy there. It's like the league makes the players lazy.
Okay.
So you have to leave and you got to go more competitively to the Brazilian league at this juncture." So he went. What are your thoughts on that?
This was recently?
This was a week or two ago.
Oh, yeah. I think
Let me find the quote.
I think it's uninformed. I would say it's uninformed. I think I mean, MLS and the Brazilian league are probably pretty competitive. We see players going back and forth. They just paid $19 million to get Santi Rodriguez from NYCFC. So I don't think that's common opinion.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, my thing is Marcelo Bielsa does have a point. I think but Marcelo Bielsa also has a problem with the league because of what happened between him and Atlanta United. He was burned
right.
like before what's his face was hired, the original guy.
Yeah.
They set it up for him, they had a meeting with him, and then they just ignored him or something happened. They did it wrong. It was
So he's
God, everybody's name is blanking. Who's
bitter.
It was Carlos Bocanegra's fault. Carlos Bocanegra managed it poorly, burned him. Then Marcelo Bielsa says he's never gonna work for the US ever again, or something like that. He got real mad. Cut to today, he's advising his players not to play in that league.
All right.
Now, there is no promotion relegation MLS. And yeah, we talk about levels, but that's more players. So like the Brazilian clubs are scouting players. They're buying South American players. You know, Botafogo isn't buying Jordan Morris. They're not buying Brian White. They're buying Thiago Almeida, you know. So there's buying the type of players they already know.
Right.
Santi Rodriguez, right? And then the likes. And whoever this guy is.
But I mean, if they thought like MLS was not a competitive league, they wouldn't pay $19 million for the player.
That's true. However, there's no relegation.
Right.
And the idea of players being lazy, I think, is a real thing. I mean, players play their best at playoff games. The playoff games are the best games. There's something on the line. They're playing their hearts out. And you can tell there's a little extra pep in their step. Now, when you're in a promotion relegation league, by design, there has to be a pep in your step every minute of the way. Here in MLS, you're allowed to go hiding for a bit. You're allowed to take a day off, that kind of thing. And so the idea of him saying it makes players lazy, there's truth to that. I'm not going to sit there and say it's all poopy poop or it's all nonsense. Like, you know, there's just a psychological aspect to it that's hard to avoid.
I don't know that I agree with that as a general. I mean, all the team situations are competitive. I mean, there's one team that I watch intently. That's my team, but I don't see that. I don't see people coming into the season going like, "Oh, we'll see, you know, we'll give it a couple months before we really apply ourselves." I think there is some intensity. I mean, players are fighting for their spots. There's competition within the squad. I don't know. I mean, more so than other places like Brazil, or I mean, Liga MX is basically doesn't have, you know, promotion relegation.
No, they suspended it there as well. Yeah.
So
and in response, Mexican clubs have been less competitive over the last few years. We're talking about CONCACAF Champions Cup, and as dominant as they used to be. Leagues Cup, they're not. You know, Mexican clubs, since they've suspended the relegation, Mexican clubs have gotten lazier as well.
Okay. I mean,
my opinion. I'm
all right.
That their performance hasn't been as dominant in the past.
I'm not ready to ascribe laziness to professional players. I think they're all. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe. Yeah, I'm having a hard time with that word. I guess there's no. I mean, I guess there is perhaps some complacency because, but I mean, it's really. I think there is just a difference from team to team, I would say. And I think there is definitely a range there. Like if you see, for example, like Caleb Porter in New England, who like gives this press conference and is completely like, well, sort of shrugs it off. I mean, I think there's definitely some teams where there's less pressure than others. I think that's for sure true. But I wouldn't say this is a league thing. I think this is a team to team thing.
Okay, so there's that.
Let's just real quick catch up with Daniel Young here. He's heartbroken by
Please.
the Red Bulls game. That game sucked, man. I know that
Which one?
playoff
The
game was
Orlando
terrible.
game?
No,
Oh, the one
the
last
playoff
year.
game that you wanted to
Oh,
brag about
well,
again. That was just
that's part
awful.
of club history. You got to remember though.
Thoughts on English?
You don't think my heart has been broken to Red Bulls playoff games with Pat? You kidding me? That's more my
Hard,
DC United.
very hard. Thoughts on English stadiums becoming more like NFL stadiums? I saw that these stadiums have more business class and premium seats where you get a prestige view and 5-star dining with your seat. This is at the expense of working class fans. Yeah, this is a big well, yeah, that's true. And we're seeing this with the NYCFC stadium. I keep getting invitations for luxury seating. You can get a I could buy a ticket where I sit and have dinner right where the team walks through, next to the tunnel where the team walks, so I can
Oh
watch
yeah, did
the
I ask
team
about
walk
that? I
by
got an
me.
email about that too.
I watch the team go past me while I eat like crab legs and
Are you gonna join?
I know. No. I'm gonna sit with the people. Like that's I don't need a premium seating. I mean, in England, this is obviously kind of having a more dramatic impact because it didn't used to be that way. Tickets used to be cheap, and now all the team, Manchester United, I guess, very famously, they're planning a new stadium, and they have a new management group, and so they are trying to extract more dollars from everyone, and so there's luxury seating. They're displacing some season ticket holders in favor of luxury seats, et cetera, et cetera.
The
I
new
mean,
stadium though is 100,000 seater versus the old
yeah,
stadium, which
intimate.
is
It's going to
60,000
be it's
seater.
going to be
So
going to be very intimate. So yeah, I mean, I think that is a problem, and I think it is a question of what is it that you want. The atmosphere definitely suffers if you have more tourists and other people coming. And I guess in the case of England, they have so much TV money that they could just chalk up just chalk it up to ambience and make tickets cheaper. Yeah, it's a tough thing. There's also really a cultural divide. I mean, tickets in England and Europe in general are still so much cheaper than what Americans are paying. Like if you try to go to an NBA game, or I mean, it's
true.
crazy what these seats cost. And
They're still expensive in England. I'd say in all of Europe, the English ticket is still the priciest. I think. I could be wrong.
I don't.
I know Bundesliga is vastly cheaper than the
That's
Prem. I know that.
probably true. I don't. I've only bought like a couple tickets ever for Premier League games. But it's still, even then, it was definitely much cheaper than going to an NBA game or. So yeah,
when I went
these
to
are just-
Arsenal. I went to Arsenal. I think I paid close to like £90 or something for my nosebleed seat.
Okay. Yeah,
Because you have to pay for a club membership first. It's kind of hard to get tickets.
right.
Right. Where at the Lakers, I mean, good luck getting in there for anything less
Oh,
than
you
3
can
digits.
definitely not. Yeah, no 2-digit tickets at all. Right, and same with the Knicks. Yeah, and yeah, it's always it's a tough.
But you know what it is, though? Is it a footballing thing or is it a world thing? I mean, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
Yeah, and
So to move forward and make money, they have to appeal to people with money. I don't know.
Yeah, and they have. I mean, the team. I mean, I've talked. This comes up with NYCFC's president every once in a while, and he says, if we just make all the tickets the same, it's like you just kind of create a secondary market, and then you give the money goes to people who resell them. So he's like, because NYCFC is variable
That
pricing.
happens. That happens rampantly right now.
It happens no matter what.
Yeah.
But but the NYCFC doesn't have the same. It used to be in my youth, going to Bochum, tickets cost a certain amount, and it was the same for every game, and it was what it was, and you always knew what it was. And now that's not the case. Now it's variable pricing. You pay more if the game is a hotter ticket, and that's how the world works, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I have, and in MLS, the game day receipts are clutch. Like the TV money is not as much, and so they gotta find it somewhere. And we want the signings, we want so the money's gotta come from somewhere. But yeah, it's always question. I mean, I still think, obviously, NYCFC, you can, like, $25 will get you in on almost any, unless Messi's coming to town. Like, that's usually. You can tickets are not, for my team, tickets are generally pretty inexpensive. It's not hard to go see it.
Not here in LA. That was a big difference between New York and LA. In New York, going to soccer was always a cheap night out. Here in LA, nah. LAFC, you can't get in that same for under $50. LA Galaxy, you still can if it's regular, but that's also a little further out of the city and stuff. Now, and like I'm going to the Nations League final this Sunday at SoFi, the fanciest stadium around. It's a good stadium. I like it.
Right.
So I like a modernized stadium. Like SoFi is a much nicer stadium than Allianz Arena. We're very proud of Allianz Arena and stuff like that. But German stadiums are very simple. It's a lot of seats. They're not even fold-up seats. Allianz Arena are the old school, like, just loop seats, which I think are stupid because it's harder to maneuver around them. Fold-up seats are smarter. And that's it. And like you said, you get your Voss and your beer, and that's the end of it. Whereas SoFi,
yeah,
I was a guest of the owner's box once. They had a full carving station. You had your own private waiter. You had a room.
Whatever.
Right,
I mean, this is
they
just
built
kind
it
of
right above the thing.
This is the
at
kind
Red Bull,
of, yeah.
At Sports Illustrated Stadium, they just got rid of the whole press section because press didn't show up anyway, and changed it into new luxury boxes. And they rearrange as much as you want, which is hilarious. I mean, you see the game over the weekend. No one goes to that stadium, so you can rearrange as much as you want. I mean, I think first and foremost, though, it should be a simple place for the people. I'm really worried about the World Cup because
it's also like it's under 2 hours. You don't have to have a meal. You don't have to sit down. I mean, these like food and all these shenanigans. That makes sense for baseball or football, where you're going to be there for 4 hours. You're going to have to eat something. But like, yeah,
we're the victims of living in a rich country, because what really worries me about the World Cup is they're 100% could do dynamic pricing. They've never done that before. In Russia and in Qatar and Germany, the way it works, if you're a local, you get a cheap ticket. There's like a tier 1, 2, 3, and there's like, if you're a citizen, you get a cheap ticket. That's been the rules. I guarantee you, in the United States, they're going to get rid of that. There is no local, there's no American cheap ticket. Even though I deserve it, we deserve it, we all deserve it. They just need to fill the same. I guarantee you, everything is going to be dynamic. Everything's going to be priced on demand. Everything's going to be expensive as hell. That damn World Cup. Ugh, I'm already ranting, but like
Daniel Young says, I see West Ham tickets are cheaper than a Spurs ticket. A West Ham female fan gave me a hug and even gave me a Conference League men's celebration kit with the UEFA patches. I'm glad to hear it. Oh, you got
it sounds like you're crushing it.
Good times at West Ham. That's awesome.
Well, West Ham plays in the Olympic Stadium, and that's a lot of seats available.
And the Spurs Stadium they just built, for big money. So that's a whole. It's a whole other thing. They're gonna squeeze people.
The Spurs Stadium have this thing where they can change it to a football stadium by changing the actual grounds itself, which is very cool. Right. And I would love to see that explored here. Oh, I'm glad we're talking about this. There was a big article getting real specific about how the football stadiums are going to convert the grass for the World Cup next year. Something I'd be
Okay.
curious about. And pretty much they're saying it's going to be the most expensive, high maintenance turf to grass management in history, because they're bringing in all sorts of stuff. They're putting a layer on top of the turf, and then the grass can go on top of that kind of. But it's going to be monitored 24/7. Like they have to it has to be monitored and watered. There's a whole thing. Essentially, like it's the highest maintenance system in the world. Like it makes no sense, and they have to do that to 11 of the stadiums.
Oh,
But I'm hoping it's good quality. They're literally they have machines with fake feet to measure the bounciness. Like it was quite. I wish I could find the article. I think it was a Yahoo Sports article. I highly recommend everybody reading it, because Yahoo Sports about the grass turf
Okay.
project.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
Because I mean, because even if you put grass on turf, it's still hard. Still a hard surface. And when they've done it in the past, like at the Copa America, it was very sloppy and did not work well.
Yeah.
So it has to be done well. So yeah, there you go. I mean, future stadiums are going to be fancy. I don't know. When I visited Fulham Stadium a few years ago, they renovated. The Fulham Stadium is on the Thames, and it's an old stadium. Like the old seats are wood still there. It was very cool. I really like that stadium. But the side on the Thames, they tore it all down, and they built it from scratch with a hotel and like a spa and a gym in it or something, and some shops are going to be in it and stuff. And there's going to be a new pub, and the whole Thames side got completely renovated and modernized. They're modernizing. Can't avoid modernizing. So there you go. They're making that money and they're modernizing it.
Yeah. All right. You had something else to ask me?
Yes.
A media
there
thing,
was-
perhaps? I was supposed to remind you of a media thing.
Exactly. So
That's it. All right.
there was a report. There was a survey recently where all the executives did an anonymous survey, which is always so interesting.
Executives of MLS.
Yeah, the MLS executives do an anonymous survey.
Okay.
And some of them are like, well, we're bastardizing Messi, but that's the whole point. Everyone has different opinions on Messi, right? And then also there's a lot of different opinions on Apple. And a handful of execs, I think about a third of the execs, want the Apple TV deal to be canceled. I think it's bad for the league.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to go back to OTA. Now, I think that's stupid. I'm not going to talk about that. However, Charlotte FC recently announced, and someone on the boards at NYCFC does this too, so I want some clarification from you.
Oh.
But Charlotte FC is now going to play all their home games on the local MyTV network in Charlotte.
Oh yeah, I read this. Yeah.
However, it's not live. It's day delay or whatever. It's day delay. But they're doing that deal. And all their games, maybe not all, but select of their games for the season, will be broadcast on local. Excuse me, sorry. That's it. Dankeschön. Are going to be broadcast on their local Charlotte OTA station, in addition to the Apple deal, I guess. What are your thoughts on that? And does the Yes Network do that? Someone said the Yes Network does that.
Not anymore. I don't know.
No, right? Yes doesn't show any.
Not to my knowledge. I haven't checked. Is there an audience for Charlotte over the air like a day later?
I don't know. I mean, you can build one, right?
Like
the biggest complaint with Apple. What's the biggest complaint with Apple, Bjorn? The one that you hear all the time, every day, all the time. What's the Apple complaint?
Well, our complaint?
No, just in general.
I don't know. What is it?
That it's not on cable. It's not on TV anymore.
Oh, okay.
People can't watch it.
Right.
Everybody in the mother's like, oh, how are you supposed to build an audience? It's not on TV, but it's not on TV. I can't find it. When it stopped being on my TV, I stopped watching the league. It's just people bitching about it all day online about the Apple TV deal. Which I understand, because essentially MLS has become a WWE pay-per-view package, right? That's what the Apple deal is.
Except a lot of games are free.
Right. Yeah, but it's also, yes. However, for people like you and me, it's not a big deal. But if you talk to my grandparents or something, you're like, oh, it's just an app. People, there's a whole generation of people 50 and above that they're TV folk. So if it's not on TV,
and your grandparents,
they don't know what it is.
They were watching a lot of MLS when it was on TV.
No, my grandparents died years ago, so I don't know why I
Right.
brought that up. But like for my parents, like my mom, I guess my mom's getting into it now. I'm kind of teaching her Apple TV.
So the
But like,
okay.
but what I'm saying is this could be a potential maybe solution for that. Because it's on Fox. That's been my response. It's like it's on Fox. I know it's only a game of the week or whatever, but it's on Fox Sports. If you have Fox Sports, MLS is on that. It's a little more limited, obviously, but maybe this could be a solution. Some sort of like game day delay, non-exclusive TV package. I don't know. Just what are your thoughts, just in general, on that?
I'm extremely skeptical of the kind of audience you would get when the game is already a day old. Like it's like replays of NFL games. How many people watch that? I don't think. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. I think the thing is, and I know I read these things too, where people are like, "Oh, I used to." It's like the TV numbers were tiny.
Yeah, I know.
Before.
I don't want to defend them. They're all
Right. It's not like oh, gazillions of
It was on
people
cable
watched
for
it,
25 years and
and
nobody
everybody
watched
watched it, and
Yeah.
exactly. The numbers were tiny, so you had to. I think they had to make this deal if it was open to them. I think it was a good. I mean, I don't know the numbers. I have no idea. I think one thing that is not working, at least to my sort of anecdotally, I think, there was this idea of like, oh, Apple's going to cross promote the stuff and they're going to find a lot of people that way. But people don't, Apple TV Plus is not a hugely successful streamer either. It's not a lot of, I think of all the
I think it's like
streamers,
1% of the market share. It's like very low.
yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
exactly. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a small number. Like not a lot of people are subscribed to it. And so that's definitely the problem. You do not, if it was Netflix, you would be like, oh, there's probably some spillover. But Apple TV Plus is not doing well, so that's a problem. And then, and I think, yeah, so I don't know how well it's going. And then what's the alternative? Would you just go back to a couple of games of Fox, couple of games of ESPN, networks that don't really care about it? I mean, they're between a rock and a hard place. I think having local broadcasts over the air would be great. I don't know about a day later. That doesn't seem appealing. But I don't know what the economics are of this. I think there's definitely. I don't think this is the final answer. I don't think anybody thinks, oh, this has been the greatest thing ever, this Apple deal. I think the whole, my biggest objection to it is the state-run media thing, the constant hyping
Right.
of, like every
Right.
commentator's constantly telling me how great everything is and how the fans are so passionate and everything is just so amazing. That really grates on me.
Right.
I do
Me
not
too.
like that. And not everybody, this is not, they're not all equal offenders. Some people are better than others, but the whole production of it has not. I still haven't watched that Onside thing. I gotta see that, but I don't think, it's not really. It's clearly not fully working, and maybe they'll figure it out, or maybe they'll do something else. But it's not. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a huge success, definitely. So I think
Yeah.
exploring other avenues is still prudent. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, maybe they could just open it up and have, because it's a streaming thing. Australia bought the broadcast rights. Like broadcast and streaming are two separate sets of rights.
Right.
And the reality, like of all of media, it's like you're
I mean,
over 50 crowd and you're under 50
is
crowd.
dying. Yeah, and
Over 50 is broadcast, under 50 no broad. When I spent like I hated it when it was on MSG. I don't have cable. I didn't have MSG.
right.
Whenever the Rebels played, I had to find an illegal stream or something. The only way I could watch them was national television. The no blackouts, being able to watch. And then when I left New York 5 years ago, I could finally watch my Red Bulls on my ESPN Plus package every week because I wasn't blacked out. It was because I was living in Florida or California at the time.
Yeah, and
when I was in New York, tough. It was blacked out for me.
And the Yes Network, because it was the Yankee, that was a premium network. Also,
Right.
that wasn't very available either to a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do like the idea of a local here in LA. Like the local My TV has a weekly LAFC show. I think they have 2 different
Mm.
30-minute LAFC shows hosted by Max Bretos from the stadium. They had a good relationship with their local broadcasters, and definitely other clubs did not. There were certain clubs that didn't even have a local broadcaster. I remember Columbus Crew never lost a local broadcaster a few years ago, and then the MLS is like, if you want to watch Columbus Crew games, you have to buy the pay-per-view package and watch the opposing team's broadcast.
Right.
And that's what they had to do for a couple seasons, So some teams have better relationship with the local media than others.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, and the Yes Network, those broadcasts, they had tiny, the numbers had to be minuscule. So yeah.
So yeah, we don't know what it is, but the people who poo-poo Apple's not perfect, but in my opinion, it's the best we've ever had. In my opinion. But I do believe I would love to. I do understand the whole expanding it. Like maybe they need to open and have a non-exclusive simulcast with maybe some local OTA stations. I don't know. Maybe that'll feed into their subscribers because they also have to protect the subscriber base and their exclusivity. Maybe the games they offer for free should also be broadcast OTA as well. Like that's maybe something like that. But I do believe there's maybe some sort of a middle ground. Maybe there's some sort of new idea they can build on top of it moving forward. I feel. And that's just what the Charlotte article got me thinking of. I'm just like, all right, it's on My TV. Like you said, I don't know what the viewership will be like, but it's interesting. This is the first time a domestic local broadcaster is going to get MLS again since the Apple deal started.
Yeah, no, that's good. Daniel Young has more ticket price things to say. I'm very worried for the Club World Cup this summer. I was looking at tickets in the Philadelphia Eagles for the group stage. Tickets are at least $100. The same seats for WrestleMania 40 in the same stadium were $60. Club World Cup is, well, I guess it depends who's playing. I don't know. Would I pay more for the Club World Cup than WrestleMania? No, it depends. Depends on who's playing. I was able to go
probably more fun.
I was able to go to WrestleMania in the same stadium for free and saw The Rock get crushed by The Undertaker. This is Lincoln Financial Field, by the way. The Rock and The Undertaker. That's amazing. The Undertaker is still active? That guy's got to be old.
He retired a couple of Undertaker is my favorite of all time. I played a spoof of The Undertaker in the local wrestling league here in LA. A little about me. Called the Hollywood Boulevard Undertaker. I had a French accent.
I just watched that Vince McMahon documentary series on Netflix. It was really fascinating. Mr. McMahon, it's called, I think.
Isn't he? He's canceled for sex trafficking.
Well, that's the whole thing about that's part of what is weird about that series. They sort of announced that at the beginning. Basically, they make an announcement at the beginning of it saying what you're saying and saying like, well, we didn't know this when we interviewed him. So
yes, they did.
So here we go. But I mean, even the stuff. Yeah. Anyway, it's fascinating. It's fascinating stuff.
Him and Donald Trump worked together to create the World Football League or whatever.
It's a huge part of that.
Yeah, maybe I'm mixing it up. No, Vince McMahon did
XFL. The XFL, but that was not that. Trump was not part of that. That was a different.
He was part of the different one called World Football League.
Yeah. And that was without. Yeah. But he was very involved in WWE, WWF at the time. Anyway,
there's big games here in LA. I think Atletico Madrid is playing PSG here in LA. I think. That's probably not going to be cheap. Flamengo. So we have a couple of pretty decent games. Unfortunately, the only games I'd watch is Bayern Munich. They're in Miami against.
I think Dortmund is playing in MetLife. I think I might try to go to that.
Yeah, I'd go to that. Yeah, I definitely want to go to the Bayern Munich, but already I think that's going to be through the roof, especially Boca and Miami. Yeah, it's going to be through.
Last I checked, it wasn't bad. The Dortmund game wasn't too bad, but I don't remember.
However, lastly, I'm going to the USA, hopefully the USA-Mexico game at SoFi this Sunday. I got tickets. I spent $100 a nosebleed seat because that's how much tickets are.
Okay.
Although I did it wrong, by the way. I used a service through my credit card, and I realized if I just bought the ticket straight, it would have been $70. It would have been like $20 cheaper.
Oh,
so that's on me, I guess. But because I'm going to that game, the U.S. men's national team, the Nations League roster is out. We'll see if Diego Luna's in. We'll see if finally he gets some minutes.
He's in, yeah. Well, he's in, right.
The hyped Diego Luna. But I'll tell you, this is a good test under Putsch because last time we played Mexico, and Mexico was a sad 2-0 loss. And Mexico, very underwhelming, but it was a friendly. It was early and blah, blah, blah. But it's not a friendly anymore. It ain't Mexico. It's a competitive game. We have a lot of injuries. Typical U.S., a lot of injuries. No Rico Pepi. No Johnny Cardozo was just pulled out. We have a lot of injuries. But it is still our strongest squad, injuries notwithstanding. And it is LA, so it's going to be a very Mexico-friendly crowd. I'm sure I'll be one of the few Americans there. But, they need to win. They need to do well. The Putsch era continues. And we'll see them. Matt Turner will be maybe in goal. Maybe Zach Steffen will be in goal. Who knows? But USA is playing by next Monday. Germany will have played Italy twice, and USA will have finished their Nations League conquest. Maybe
Let's
they
see.
play Panama on Thursday, and then they play either the third place game or the gold medal game on Sunday. And it might be against Mexico. Could be Canada. Don't sleep on Canada. We'll see. But either way, I will be there, and I will report.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. So back to national
All
team
right.
game.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's all I got on my USA Hour.
It is 11:25 on the East Coast.
Ooh, we gotta go. Anyway, Daniel Young and the rest of the gang, good luck with everything. Have a good night. See you all. See you around.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Till next week.